Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is just a random's find video, just some things I picked up. Actually, I was traveling the last few days. As I kind of mentioned, that's why I pushed my contest date back to August 10th. So if you haven't entered yet, still want to jump on board, definitely do that. But yeah, I was kind of doing some East Coast traveling a little bit, so I hit a nice little store in the Virginia Beach area, picked up a couple of things, and then also kind of down in the North Carolina area. So, it's always nice to go to some different stores here and there. So picked up a few things. Also, there was a couple CDs I ordered. Another store I visit quite frequently here, someone sold a nice collection of some different CDs. So I've picked up a number of deluxe CDs to add to that part of my collection, which I really like. So I'm just going to kind of share the records and the few deluxe CDs that I picked up. But yeah, let's just kind of jump right into it. Start off here with two new issues slash reissues. The first one here, in case you didn't know, this had been released. It is Santana, Supernatural. Of course, you guys know that album without question. Oh, little hold card. I had one of my favorite local record stores. They ordered pre-ordered a copy for me and held it. So just like with VCOT, whenever I get those little type of slips from stores, I keep those with the albums too. Just like all the letters that people put in their VCOT packages. I think that'll be cool stuff to reflect back on years and years from now. But yeah, Santana Supernatural. I mean, of course, you guys know this album inside and out. I remember one of the coolest things I thought about this album was, the fact that Santana played Woodstock, and then you fast forward to, 1999, 2000, and he's winning Album of the Year, just decades later, which is really kind of a testament to the staying power of the music of Santana. Although, some of that 80s stuff that he did, kind of, but I just really couldn't get into. But I mean, Santana's a genius. The only thing I didn't like about this album was also kind of the same fact that it won Album of the Year. It's just kind of one of my little pet peeves. When you look inside of 100 greatest selling albums of all time, and you see these compilation type albums, with a bunch of different artists on it and everything like that. Just something about that just makes me feel like those shouldn't be eligible for albums of the year or all-time bestsellers, to take a bunch of different artists and kind of mix them together and put them on one album. Now again, this is all Santana, but I mean, you guys know all the different people that made cameos on here and sang and everything else. It's just, I don't mind those type of albums because again, I love this album, but it's just whenever those type of albums win awards, it just rubs me wrong. Some weird pet peeve that I have. But definitely glad that was released. Another thing that's been released, and I've seen one or two videos where people have talked about this and showed a few things. Finally, some of those 90s Janet reissues, I guess issues or reissues. I think some of them hadn't been released on vinyl, but yeah, so it's nice that they finally got those out on vinyl. I think All For You and this and what's the other one? Okay, I'm going brain dead. But anyway, the yeah, so I stumbled across this one at a store out there, and I thought, hey, be a good one to go ahead and pick up. So nice to have these new Janets out there. So make sure you check those out. Just all of her classic stuff on here. That's the Way Love Goes, and of course, I think again, one of my favorite songs by her, also off this album. So great stuff, and definitely gonna try to get a couple other the reissues at some point. This was also a very nice one to stumble across. You don't see these just sitting in stores too often, but it's Exodus, Pleasures of the Flesh. Again, going back, this was 87, I think it was. Was this 87? Yeah, I think it was 87. Exodus, just one of those great bands in that thrash period. Some of their early work here. Kind of in my mind, a great classic album by them. This is really cool too because it is a gold stamp promo, and as you can see, it is in fantastic condition, and the vinyl is just like the cover there. So that was really nice stumbling across this. This was in a store down in the Virginia Beach area where he actually had this one section that was labeled like rarities or something like that. And it was, you know, kind of more of the bigger dollar stuff, if you will. And so he had this in there, but it was a little overpriced, especially for what they were going for online. So I, you know, kind of mentioned that to him, and the guy was like, "Well, yeah, we'll mark it down some," and you know, he, you know, offered out a fair price just like that. So great pickup, great addition to the Exodus collection. And at that same store, I found this one too, which is one of their more recent releases, which is Blood In, Blood Out. I've had this on CD for quite some time, but you know, stumbled across the 2 LP set, and again, very, very good price he had on it, so definitely had to pick that up. So just kind of, you know, more great Exodus stuff, and you know, it is a good album. I think my favorite song off of this is probably Honor Killings. That's probably definitely the one I listen to the most on the CD that I have. So, but yeah, definitely nice to get that on vinyl as well. Which is, both of those are on black vinyl. I know they were pressed on other colors too, but then we go to this one, arguably my favorite Neil Young album, definitely in my top 3, which is Comes a Time. This is that 2000, I think it was 16 reissue, 180 gram pressing. Hadn't stumbled across one of these for the most part. I'd only been seeing them in that box set, so it was nice to come across a individual copy. And yeah, I mean, I just, again, I don't buy, I'm not keeping a bunch of doubles of albums now. There's kind of a select few, and I get very picky about the doubles that I do keep at this point. But you know, I have a nice original pressing of this, but yeah, I just couldn't pass it up with this being my, again, one of my favorite Neil Young albums. Comes a Time is definitely more on his countryside, acoustic guitar type of things. What's Her Name does a number of tracks on here with him. Gosh, I'm going totally brain dead. Nicolette Larson, jeez. But I mean, yeah, the entire side 1 of this album is just fantastic. Going Back, Comes a Time, Look Out for My Love, Whole Lot of Love, Peace of Mind. I mean, just beautiful kind of rocky, not even rocky, kind of 70s almost folkish type of kind of country ballads. I mean, but definitely one of my favorite Neil albums, so it was really nice picking up that reissue. And my last recent, I think it's my last recent finds video, I showed a Cheap Trick album I picked up, and it made me kind of really go and look through my Cheap Trick collection and realize I did not have Lapse of Luxury in there, which is just an absolute no-no. So found a nice copy of that too. Definitely a very significant Cheap Trick album for me, because this really is the album that brought me to them, you know, back in the 80s. The song The Flame, I just thought was fantastic. I can remember going all the way back to like 7th grade, being on a 7th grade basketball trip, and had that song in my little Walkman, and how I just played it over and over and over. I just thought the melody in it was just so freaking beautiful. And it's one of those songs that just was pretty meaningful. And a lot later on in my life, it kind of became the song that reminded me of my grandmother a lot. So every time I listen to it now, it always makes me think of her, and just kind of a very, very special album there. Next here, The Best of Billy Paul. Found this nice little 2 LP set, and it was only $5 what they had on it, and I mean, it's just in mint condition. I thought, well, heck yeah, I'll pick up a little Billy for $5. But yeah, I mean, you know, great stuff on here. A lot of his classic stuff, including his biggest hit, which of course was Me and Mrs. Jones. Just a, you know, very smooth R&B track. But yeah, I'd never seen this before, and so a nice little 2 LP set of definitely an R&B great. And then the last kind of 3 here. One of the new Blue Note reissues. This is Andrew Hill, Point of No Return, or sorry, Point of Departure. Going Kansas on you. And again, just another one of one of those great Blue Note albums. I actually bought this CD a few months ago because I was, I think I told the story when I showed the CD. I was just in a local store and a guy had, bought it and, was playing it, and I was like, hey, that's freaking bad. How much is that CD or whatever? He's like, I just bought that today, but I think I'm keeping it for myself. So really kind of bummed me out. But I went out and got the CD, and I saw this, the Blue Notes 75, I think, reissues these are. Picked that up, and really does sound fantastic. And that's one thing I will say about these newer Blue Note reissues. Like, again, I think it's the Blue Note 75, because one issue I have with all those Blue Note reissues from, the last, maybe 5 years or so, is they sucked. I mean, they would come right out of the shrink. You would open these things up brand new, and they have all kind of just discoloration on them and pops and crackles, and you're like, it's a brand new record. But the few of these new Blue Note 75s that I've purchased have sounded wonderful. So whole different ball game going on these new pressings, in case anyone else is kind of interested. Here's another one I'm not sure if people are familiar with or not. Field Trip. Song is called Headgear. You gotta love that cover. And just another one of those bands from 1989, 1990, right in there. The thing I'll say about this band is a nice little gold stamp promo as well, which is nice. But I definitely like some stuff on this album. Songs like 13 and Buttercup and a couple other things. But I mean, it really is kind of more of a slightly poppy, maybe in some places it goes a little like folkish type, but really is kind of the the poppy type of thing from the late 80s going into the early 90s. But what I've always said about this band is I think they came on a little too late, because if grunge would have been huge, if this band would have done a lot of the exact same songs that they did, but just tuned their guitars to sound more Nirvana-ish, and had a lead singer who sounded a bit more, not exactly like, but a bit more Kurt Cobain-ish, they would have been a fantastic grunge band. A matter of fact, when I listened to some songs like 13, one of the reasons I first started listening to this band was I heard songs off of this, and my first thought process was, that kind of sounds like Nirvana if Nirvana would have just been totally pop and more bubblegummy as opposed to grunge. So again, you're not going to listen to them and hear, excuse me, about the sneeze, see, no editing. You're not going to listen to them and get a Nirvana feel. But again, it's like when I listen to songs like 13 and a couple others on here, that's just the first thing I thought when I was listening to this album for the first time, was that sounds like Nirvana strictly pop kind of thing. So I guess my ear caught it for whatever reason. This one haven't actually listened to yet, so I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep it or not, but picked this up the same time I grabbed the Santana. It was only 99 cents, so I thought I would check it out because it was in perfect condition. But Sissy Spacek, this is Hanging Up My Heart. And the only reason I decided to kind of check this out is because, if you ever saw the movie Coal Miner's Daughter, where she played Loretta Lynn, she did a fantastic job in that movie. Not only as playing the character, but, she sang and did pretty much the entire soundtrack, and she was freaking great. So I thought, hey, if she put out maybe another great country album, let me check it out and see. So still need to investigate that one, but just basing it off of Coal Miner's Daughter, it was definitely it's going to be worth a try. Now, in the process of digging, there are two more albums I want to show, and these are actually two which are kind of up for trade, so I thought I would kind of share that with the VC. As I always put, when I'm out digging, I'm always looking not only for stuff in my collection, but stuff I can flip. And this was a really great one to find here. Bad Company, Holy Water. And let's just say I found this for a single-digit amount of dollars. I mean, great condition. I mean, album is just beautiful. I could not believe he had it marked the way he did, but I just kind of looked it over, make sure I wasn't missing anything, and I was like, yep, that's a grail. And it's kind of funny too, because I I have a sealed copy of this. I had two copies, and one I worked out a deal with Melinda because she had wanted one to kind of, complete her or working on completing her Bad Company collection, and so we worked that out, and I got rid of that and still had my sealed copy, and still just felt a little weird just because it was like, you know, gosh, I just got so used to having two copies and like one listening copy and my sealed one. So it was kind of cool that, so quickly another one pops up in my collection again. But yeah, this is definitely not the easiest Bad Company album to stumble across. But again, I purchased it mainly because I want to flip it. So again, if before I even go to putting stuff on eBay and things like that, if somebody in the VC needs it and has some, things you want to trade or whatever the case may be, let me know. And same thing with this. Collective Soul, Hints and Allegations, and all other kind of things, and Useful Left Said, blah, 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 blah. I just messed up the title, but yeah, you remember this Record Store Day release, which was kind of nice. And again, actually, perfect time. I already have a copy of that right back here, and my copy is sealed, but they had this, I guess, kind of a record store leftover, and had it marked more than 50% off. So I was like, well, that's another good flipping opportunity. So again, brand new sealed copy, perfect condition. So if anyone may need this before I throw it on eBay, let me know. As well as some of the CDs I'm about to show you. Also picked up kind of a bundle of CDs, and this Hysteria Deluxe edition was in there, but it's one I already had. So again, another piece that I'm going to be putting on eBay if I don't trade or find someone that needs it here in the VC first. CDs and everything were in perfect condition. I just already have a copy of it. So let's dive right into the deluxe CDs I picked up. And again, I know I'm showing those things I just showed from the trade pile specifically, but again, that's something I do quite a bit. Is I'm always on the lookout for things when I'm digging that I actually flip and turn into a few more dollars, so I can continue to support this habit. But let's dive right into some of the deluxe CDs. Start out here with Bomber. I'm not going to take these out because I think you guys kind of know how they're put together. But that's Bomber by Motorhead. Nice in this slip case. These were two I just couldn't believe I stumbled across in the store actually just today or earlier this afternoon. Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. Again, great addition to the collection there, as well as Black Sabbath self-titled. So two very awesome additions to the collection there. Camel. And this is the Snow Goose. Music inspired by the Snow Goose. I'm not familiar with the Snow Goose or what that is or anything like that. I'm sure one of you will leave a bunch of comments down there below and kind of let me know, because I was planning on looking it up. But I know I have a couple of albums by Campbell and I really like them. So I saw this and wasn't quite sure, but he threw on the first CD and I was listening to it while I was digging, and I mean, same old great Camel stuff. So I don't know what it is yet, but I definitely like it. So yeah, again, another great addition there. Def Leppard, Adrenalizing, and not my favorite album by them, but again, I found this really cheap actually, and so wanted to add that to the deluxe edition, as well as a little Pyromania. Again, albums you guys are extremely familiar with. And the last two, little Joe Jackson. Fantastic album there. Of course, it has remember a few years ago when we did theme songs for our channel, and the theme song that I chose was Steppin' Out by Joe Jackson. Love that song. So great deluxe CD there. And last but not least, little John Lennon Imagine. So that's a few of the additions as far as the deluxe CDs go. So again, again. Again, no editing. See, just kind of few pickups there, things that have kind of come in. So as always, let me know what you guys think. Again, contest is still on up until August 10th. I've done part one of my contest. I'm gonna do part two, which is the room tour. I'm actually waiting for a couple things I ordered to come in because I want to complete a couple things in my room before I do the tour. But I'll probably definitely do it before the end of my contest on August 10th. All right. So yeah, as always, VC, let me know what you guys think, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.